All right, we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. Before we go to our segment 2, I would just like to ask you again to please, donate to the show, tip as well. It really does help us. It really is appreciated. So again, streamelements.com/GSMCSportsNetwork /tip. It really does help, and it really does make a difference. So thank you so much for that if you do decide to do it, and thank you for viewing as well. So next, we're going to be talking about our second segment here, and that is going to be X Factors. So we're going to be doing this for both leagues. So first, we're going to be doing it for the American League. So X Factors to me are just players that really can single-handedly change the course of a team's season. I think they're one of the bigger parts of the season. They can make it either so much better or so much more inconsistent and so much more not as good in a way. We're going to start off first with the Yankees. And you might be thinking, okay, well, it's Juan Soto. It's got to be Juan Soto. They traded for him for a reason. He's one of the better players in baseball. But I was very close to picking Juan Soto, but I think in the end, any Yankees fan would tell you that the X factor for their season is going to be Carlos Rodon. Rodon was signed to a huge contract last offseason after coming off of great years with the White Sox and the Giants. He did not have a good season, to put it lightly. He was not good. He was very hurt, and when he was pitching, he didn't pitch very well. Got into some beefs with the fans, and it just wasn't a great first season in pinstripes for Carlos Rodon. If he does stay healthy, if he is who they paid for, he gives them a legitimate number 2 in that rotation behind Garrett Cole and just makes them so much more deeper. If Rodon plays to his strengths, you have Cole, Rodon, Stroman, Cortez, Schmidt, other guys who come up like Clayton Beeter, Will Warren, just makes their rotation so much more better, so much more deeper, so much more better. I'm gonna say that again. So much more better if Rodon can play up to standard. So I think he's really the biggest X factor for them right now. Going to Toronto here, I have their biggest X factor as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I think this is the easy answer, and I'm going to go with it. He had a down year last year, 118 WRC plus, 1 WAR, 800 OPS. Those are fine numbers, but they're not numbers you expect from a guy like Vladdy, who was an MVP candidate a few years ago. He's on the cover of MLB The Show, which I think definitely brings some more eyes to him, brings some more attention, brings some more pressure. If he can go back to what we know that he can do, being an MVP caliber player, being one of the better hitters in baseball, living up to his top prospect, generational prospect moniker, he just makes that lineup so much more better. He makes that team so much more better. He makes it so much more consistent. Again, he didn't have a bad year last year. It's just not what we expect. It was definitely a down year for his standards. We've seen some workout pictures. He looks skinny. He looks good. Looks ready to go. So I'm hoping for Blue Jays fans' sakes, he's much better, and he is the Vladdy we know he can be. Next, we have Tampa. Tampa's had a very interesting offseason. I think their biggest X factor is Aaron Savali. Obviously was acquired in a midseason trade last year at the deadline. Was there to give them a lot more pitching after a lot of their pitchers got hurt. And I think it's the same reason why I have him as the X factor now. Just because of how much pitching the Rays are going to be losing because of injuries. Shane McClanahan out for the year. Jeffrey Springs, Drew Rasmussen might return at the end of the year. Shane Baz is injured, going to return probably in the half side. They obviously traded Tyler Glass now. So I think if Savali can step up to be another real legit guy behind Zach Eflin, he makes that team a lot more better. He makes that rotation a lot better. So it would make the Rays much better. Also, guys like Taj Bradley, Ryan Pepio, they need to step up as well. Just overall, those guys, mainly Aaron Savali, those guys are X factors for the team, and will just make them so much more better than they can be, and really live to their potential as well. Next, we have Baltimore. So I think it's clear what it is, and that is Corbin Burns. They traded for him for a reason. He's going to be the ace they need in Baltimore. They have a great young team, a great young hitting core, but they need some pitching. And I think Corbin Burns absolutely helps with that. He needs to. That's why you acquire him. Especially now, you have your co-ace and quote unquote Kyle Bradish. He is going to be out for, we don't know. They don't think it's long, but it's an elbow injury, and that's not good for a pitcher. We all know what elbow injuries can lead to. We don't want to say it because we don't want to jinx them, but we know as baseball fans, we know what it can lead to. So I think Corbin Burnes definitely has to step up more now. He, of course, had to be a great pitcher before, but even more now with the Bradish injury. So, yeah, I think Corbin Burnes is the X factor for the Orioles. Red Sox, Brian Bayo. He needs to be the ace they need. He's a really good young player that I think needs to step up if the Red Sox want to make any noise at all. I believe in him. I think he's going to be really good, and I think it's all about putting it together this year and really being the pitcher that Red Sox fans want and the Red Sox need as in general as a team. Cleveland, going to the AL Central now. Kyle Manzardo. We mentioned his trade partner, Aaron Savali, before. He was traded to Cleveland for Aaron Savali. When they acquired him in the trade, I thought it was a great move. I didn't expect to get someone as good as Manzardo for Savali. He's a top first base prospect, a really great hitter, a guy I think can make the Guardians lineup so much more better if he can live to his potential, be the slugging first baseman I think he can be. So I think he's an X factor for this Guardians team. I really think he can make them a lot more better than they are right now, and a lot better than they can be. The Royals, I think it's pretty clear that it's Bobby Witt Jr. They gave him the contract extension for a reason. They believe in him. They want to make him the face of the franchise, as they should. He has a lot of expectations with that contract, and especially with the moves the Royals made this offseason to get them back into contention. And I think he's going to be at the forefront of that, to getting Royals baseball back to where they would like it to be. The Tigers, it's Spencer Torkelson. I think it's pretty clearly Spencer Torkelson. He needs to live up to expectations he had of being the first overall pick. He didn't have a great first 2 years. He got better last year at the second half, definitely, but he needs to put it all together to a full season. I don't think the Tigers are in rebuild anymore. Are they a World Series contender? Probably not, but they can be a really good team. They added some guys like Jack Flaherty who can make them a lot better, some bullpen arms as well that can make them pretty nice. Got other young stars like Riley Green. So if Torkelson can be really good, can live to the expectations that are placed upon him and made him the first overall pick, the Tigers can be so much better and really just improve a lot. So I would look at him. Twins, Carlos Correa. They paid Carlos Correa to be Carlos Correa, and he hasn't been the Carlos Correa we know. He's been a good player, but I think he needs to pick it up. I think he needs to be the superstar we knew in Houston, and I think he's already a leader for that Minnesota team. We're not complaining about that, but he's a really good player, and I think he needs to show why they paid him all this money and why 3 different teams tried to get him at one point in the offseason, and they all agreed to contracts with him. So he did pick it up in the second half, to be fair to him, but still needs to improve a little bit and kind of be the player that Minnesota wants and Minnesota paid for. The White Sox. Gonna go over this one pretty quickly here. It's Dylan Cease, not because he's gonna try to get them to the playoffs, but because the White Sox are really bad, and if Dylan Cease can bounce back, they can get a haul for him at the deadline, an absolute haul. Not a franchise-changing haul, but a lot of good prospects. The White Sox are really bad. Not a big surprise I'm saying that. They're really, really bad. They're not good. They want to ship out Dylan Cease. I think it's pretty clear with the offseason. They've had shopping him around, so if he's good, he goes back to what he was. I think it makes White Sox fans' lives a lot easier because they'll get a lot more prospects and they'll maybe jump up that rebuild a little more. So, going to the AL West now, we have the Angels to start off with, and what do you know? It's Mike Trout. It has to be Mike Trout. Obviously, the Angels are going to be not as good as before. They weren't that good before, but they're still not going to be that great, considering they lost the best player in baseball. So it's kind of hard to pick that up and get that value back. But they have Mike Trout, who was known as the best player in baseball for a long time, is in some people's eyes the greatest player of all time, or was on that track at least. We don't know how it is now because of his injuries. But, if he's the Mike Trout of old, where he stays healthy for at least 140 games or something like that, we don't need him to play all 162. He's not going to do that at this point in his career. But if he can play like 140, 130, something like that, be the Mike Trout we know of, the stats, the MVP every single year, the guy that didn't get MVP a few years because people are like, oh, he'll just get it every year. We'll give it to someone new. That's how good he was. If he can be that Mike Trout, the Mike Trout of old, they can be so much better, and maybe not as bad. The Astros, it's Justin Verlander. if he stays healthy, their pitching is going to be so much better than it is right now. He needs to stay healthy for that team. Obviously, he's fighting some injuries right now as well. We know the injury he's had to start off spring. He's behind in his throwing calendar. So, it's not great right now for him, but he needs to step up, stay healthy. And if he does, the Astros pitching is going to be so much better, and the team will be much better as well. And I think a lot of the season rides on him. Especially now, you're going to have a little more eyes on him, especially in New York. You had the Drew Gilbert trade to get him back to Houston. Instead of paying him, you just traded for him and got his contract at a discount. He had a little vacation in New York, I guess, before going back to Houston. So Drew Gilbert's looking like a star with the Mets. You traded him for Verlander, also Ryan Clifford. So if Verlander doesn't stay healthy, if the Astros don't do much this season and burn out in the playoffs, and Gilbert and Clifford become really good players with the Mets, I think it's going to be looked at as a pretty horrible trade for a long time. So I think Verlander needs to step it up, and I think he needs to play better for the Astros to be as good as they can be. The A's, going to go over this one quickly. It's kind of like the White Sox. They're really bad, but they have Brent Rooker, who had one of the better first halves in baseball last year, was a really good hitter for them, played the DH well. If he can play that well again, they'll get a haul from at the deadline. I don't know if he'll play that good again. I thought it was kind of a fluke, maybe a little bit of a Linsanity, quote unquote, whoever remembers that. But if he performs to form again, sorry, that was a little bit of a tongue twister. It can make them A's a better team and can get them a better prospect haul at the deadline. So Julio Rodriguez for the Mariners. We're jumping to them next. I think it's pretty clear that he's the X Factor. He's the X Factor always. He's their best player. He's their young star. He's their superstar. He's their face of the franchise. He's the determining factor, single-handedly, in my opinion, if they will be good or if they will be bad. If he performs to what we can be, what he's performed in the past, the Mariners could be a really good team that makes the playoffs, maybe even fights the AL West crown with the question marks about the Astros and the Rangers. So I think he's going to be always the X factor with who he is and what his contract was and how they've built the franchise around him, really. So yeah, I think Julio Rodriguez easily the X factor for Seattle. And finally, for the AL, we have Texas, the defending world champions. Fitting to end with them. I think the X factor is Nathan Eovaldi. Their pitching is a big question mark right now. Nathan Eovaldi was an ace for the Rangers last year. Didn't think much of the contract when he signed it with Texas, but he proved me wrong. Proved a lot of people wrong. Was really good with them. So he needs to step up again, be that guy. The projections don't have him doing well, but as we've seen, projections a lot of the time are wrong. So if he wants to, I think he should prove that wrong. Show why he's the ace of that staff. He definitely needs to step up more now with Jordan Montgomery probably not coming back. DeGrom and Scherzer out till the middle of the year, maybe even longer because they are older. We don't know how they're going to, rehab and all that. So, yeah, Nathan Eovaldi needs to step up, needs to be their ace, and he's the big X factor. If he can be the pitcher they need him to be, I think the Rangers will be a lot better than they look right now. But we don't know yet. So, just to recap, Yankees, Carlos Rodon. Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Rays, Aaron Savali, Orioles, Corbin Burns, Red Sox, Brian Bayo, Cleveland, Kyle Manzardo, Royals, Bobby Witt Jr., Tigers, Spencer Torkelson, Twins, Carlos Correa, White Sox, Dylan Cease, Angels, Mike Trout, Astros, Justin Verlander, Oakland, Brent Rooker, Oakland for now, I should say, Seattle, Julio Rodriguez, and the defending world champions, Texas Rangers, Nathan Eovaldi. So, that was the X Factor for every AL team, and that was our second segment. So, we'll be taking a little break here, but we'll be showing you our third segment, which is going to be X Factors for each NL team. So, we did AL. We're going to do NL next. So, we're going to go to a break, but after that, we'll see you then, and we'll talk about it. So, thanks.